I have offended thee to such an extent that the pain you feel from my verbiage, from my pronunciamentos, is such that you must expiate that pain by telling me off. Now, you can talk as long as you like, as long as you do not repeat yourself, and as long as you do not launch into a diatribe against another person. You follow those rules, and there'll be no problems. If you don't follow those rules, why, just hang up and go to another caller. All right, here we go. Full board. Everybody wants to participate, apparently. Marty from Suffern, you're our first caller for the Gag Hour.
How are you, Bob? What's up, Bob? You know, Bob, I always dream every night that I could go over there and punch your stupid nose down your big fat throat. But listen, Bob, I'm not going to come over there. I'm going to invite you over to my house. You'll come here, we'll have a meal with chicken soup and gefilte fish, and we'll have latkes, we'll sing hot tikva, and after the meal with your whole mishpacha over there, we'll go and we'll show that I can punch your stupid nose down your throat. You keep on repeating yourself, you say everything twice, everything's a routine now. I'm sick and tired of it. Thank you.
All right, that's not a bad start. Not too bad. On a scale of 1 to 10, I'll give him a 3. John, you're on WABC. It's the Gag Hour. Go ahead. Are you there, John?
Oh, yes. You say Bob Grant. I say Ciro Gigante. Ciro Gigante of the Rio Diner. You thought everyone has forgotten what you said about Haiti. I lay in bed and I agonize over it. You said you wish the boat had sunk and you wish everybody who was Haitian would die. I never forgot about that. I remember the Ciro Gigante who hangs out in the Rio Diner, which is a Greek restaurant. Why does a nice Italian boy hang out in a Greek diner? Why does a nice Italian boy, and I have the tape, hanging out at the Western Wall in Israel, davening when he met Maya Kahani right there? He looked up and Maya Kahani says, "What are you doing here? A nice Italian boy. You are fake, a phony, a fraud, a schmuck, a schmagegi, and a scumbag. And the only reason that you hang out in the Rio Diner is you take home the leftovers. When you mention the Rio Diner twice, that means they're having lamb chops that night. If you mention it once, it's moussaka. You're a bum. You're a dirty, rotten, racist dog. Die like a dog."
On a scale of 1 to 10, I got to give him a 9. Nelson, you're on WABC. It's the Gag Hour.
I do not love you anymore. How dare you? How dare you decide to criticize the men's room attendant at 21? Don't you know that is Willie's brother? You have caused me much grief and sorrow. He works for a living, not like you, sitting on your butt, telling all this white racist propaganda against me and my beloved wife, who is now, at this very moment, cooking the Christmas bird as soon as she can find a tire to fit around his neck. Don't you understand? Il Supremo is the absolute ruler of the People's Republic of New York State. How dare you, as a white man, rail against him and his minion, my brother in faith, the man who came home to South Africa? How dare you go against these people? You are a white dog, and we will come to your house. We will find tires of the right size to fit around your neck. Don't you understand? It is Christmas. It's time to laugh.
All right, that was Nelson. I wonder if his wife Winnie is still saying Amandala, Amandala. Anyway, on a scale of 1 to 10, I got to give him an 8.5. Not bad, not bad.
There are only 2 rules. 1, you can't say anything nice. 2, you can't repeat yourself. That's it. Now stay tuned for another chance to get at Grant. Go after him with both barrels blazing.
All right, let's say hello to Butch checking in from East Brunswick. Yes, Butch, you're participating in a Gag Hour. Hello.
Oh, hi, Bob. Good afternoon. Bob, I've been listening to you for, I guess about 2 years now, and I don't know, I'm just so turned on by your machismo, if you know what I mean. You sound like such a brood. I mean, I find your program to be stimulating in more ways than one. And I wanted to thank you for turning me on to Nutrisystem, Because now that I've lost weight, it's a lot easier for me to grab my ankles without bending my knees.
That was Butch doing, I don't know. Would that qualify as a vintage gag? I suppose in a roundabout way. On a scale of 1 to 10, I'll give him a 2. Was he acting? That's the question. I have a feeling he talks that way all the time. Phil, it's a gag hour. Hello.
Hello, this is Phil Jr. I had to grab the phone away from my father, Phil. I've been forced to endure your show at the dinner table for the last 7 or 8 years. I've lost count. Bob, I just have to say that I think you have the intellect of a small soap dish. And just the only thing I'd like to comment on as far as the man who had the problem with Happy Hanukkah is I've seen this all over, and I agree with him. And anyone that disagrees with you is not a racist. I agree that there is something going on there. And you cannot call me a racist because I have fought this out with my father a number of times. And I happen to be married to a Jewish woman, and unfortunately, my children are being raised in the Jewish faith. So I'm not a racist, but I just have to say that after 7 or 8 years, I welcome the opportunity to let you know my feelings and take it easy.
Well, I don't know about Phil. What are they? On a scale of 1 to 10, I give him a 2. I think I know who Phil's father is, and just let me say this. Phil sounds a lot more intelligent than Phil Sr., which isn't saying much, but then again, you know Phil Sr. Mike, checking in from Fort Lee. Hello.
Yeah, Bob. There were 2 events during the past year about which you made unequivocal, flat statements that turned out to be 100% wrong, and I haven't heard anyone expose you. The first one was during the war in the Persian Gulf. From time to time during that war, callers would call up and ask questions to the effect of, Bob, what should we do when we win the war? What then? And you would vilify anyone who asked that question with a remark like, let's win the war. First things first, you jerk, or you anti-American skunk. And it turned out that question was right on point, right on target, to use your vernacular, because it turned out we weren't prepared for the end of the war. We didn't plan sufficiently for it, plan ahead for it. The other event was the confirmation hearings for Clarence Thomas. In the first few days after Anita Hill came out of the woodwork, a few callers commented that they thought Clarence was not the guy for the job, and you made a flat statement to the effect of, don't worry about it, pal, he won't be confirmed. You also refused to own up to an honest mistake when such a mistake is exposed. For example, I remind you of a call from David from Irvington, the guy involved with CORE and who most of the listeners know is also blind. When a later caller pointed out that you screwed up by asking David, doesn't Geraldo Rivera's nose look better after his plastic surgery? You gave the lame excuse, oh, I knew David couldn't see Geraldo's nose. My comment was for the edification of the listening audience. Come on, Bob, nobody believed that. You also overwork some of these clever phrases. I'm really getting tired of hearing, shocking disclosure, shocking disclosure. And when you tell a caller to get off my phone, if the next caller hesitates even 1 second, we always hear, it never fails. If I yell at somebody, the next caller's afraid to come on the line. So predictable. So predictable.
Oh, that's beautiful.
In closing, I want to draw an analogy between your show and the TV show All in the Family. All in the Family is mentioned from time to time by you and by callers, and you usually say, oh, I never watched it. I don't like sitcoms. Bob, that show was so good, especially the character of Archie, that it transcended the classification of a sitcom. And I would recommend those reruns to anyone. And I think not to enjoy that show would make about as much sense as somebody saying that they don't listen to the Bob Grant show because they don't like talk shows. Bob, in closing, as Frank from Queens would say, thank you.
I think I'm going to give Mike on a scale of 1 to 10, I think I'm going to give him an 8. Very clever. Very entertaining. Oh, dear me. Bob, it's Gag Hour. Bob checking in from White Plains. Hello.
Yeah, Grant, you're a disgrace. Everything that comes out of your mouth is vile and disgusting. If there's any justice in this world, you'll rot in hell for eternity. Now, even better than that, if there's any justice in the world, tomorrow morning you'll wake up and lying next to you will be Nina Totenberg. And lying on the other side of you, or on top of you, will be Andrea Dworkin.
Wow.
How does that grab you, Grant?
Whoa.
Bob Grant sandwich. Happy holidays.
Wow. Oh, I got to give that guy a 10. On a scale of 1 to 10, I got to give him a 10. You know, Andrea Dworkin? Oh, my gosh. She makes Nina Totenberg look like a raving beauty. Oh, how sickening. Yeah, I had to give him a 10 with that. Yehudi, you're at WABC. It's the Gag Hour.
Okay, Bob.
Yes?
You misrepresent yourself all the time. You are a foolish, opinionated phony. And I'll tell you why you misrepresent yourself. People are always accusing you of being a Jew because you side with Israel. Well, I'll tell you why you really are a Jew. Because your mother is a Jew. Even if she converted to Catholicism and raised you as a Jew, you are a Jew because your mother is one. And you were told this on the radio by somebody not too long ago, and you did not deny it. So that proves that that's what you are. And there's nothing wrong with being a Jew. You should not be ashamed of it. You have Italian heritage. You are born in America. You are a native. You are all that. That's true, but you are a Jew. Now listen, you are a sick phony, and I'll tell you why. You're a maniac, depressive, and you have eating disorders. In public, in your Rio diner, you eat salads, and you sip a little whatever drinks or whatever. But at home, you pig out. That's why you have a weight problem, and your waistline fluctuates, so you have to go on all these diets. And I'm sure that when you get home, you don't have the kind of home life you want to represent to people because you're very, very depressed, and you're very upset and sad, and you're so mean on the phone to people, but inside you're crying all the time. Now, I want to tell you one more thing, even though you don't want to hear this. My daughter, Rivka Devora, wants to talk to you right now, and here she is.
Hi, scumbag, you fool, you admit it!
Ah, dear. Well, I don't think putting the child on really was very good for the child. I don't think that's good to put a kid on and say, call this guy a scumbag. But the mother was doing, well, I give her a 6 prior to her putting on her youngster. Anyway, it's the Gag Hour, and Teddy, you're participating in the Gag Hour. Hello.
Oh, you're going to hate this one, Bobby. God bless you for being there. You're a great American.
That's it. You're in violation. He's in violation. He's in violation. He's in violation. He can do that other times. But this is the Gag Hour. We're taking only critiques. Ari. Hello.
Hi, Bob.
Yeah.
How are you? I have to say, I have to make a statement before I say what I have to say. Thank you for taking my call. No, just a little question about animal rights. When you say every day, kill Saddam Hussein, kill that skunk, what have you got against skunks? Poor animals. Leave them alone already. Bye.
Scale of 1 to 10, I give a 3. Nick, hello.
Hello.
Nick, it's the Gag Hour.
I was wondering where I could get a rug, you know? And I was wondering where you got your toupee.
Okay, at a scale of 1 to 10, I give a -3 because it was very unimaginative. Bobby, hello.
Yeah, Bob?
Bob, you're participating in the Gag Hour. Go ahead.
Yeah, Bob, listen, stop picking your nose from it and, hear me out. Tomorrow when you go eat your gamey meat at the Rio Diner and the upside-down bar stools, think about how this would be. Now, over the years, I've heard people ask you, is there a slogan that could unite all New Yorkers and New Jersey or a bumper sticker? Well, I've got the combination of the two, and it involves you and your 3 arch enemies. One, you have a bumper sticker of Mario Cuomo and Flim Flam Florio sitting in bed together with each one's left arm extended towards the other's midsection, under the covers, of course. And on the New Jersey side, you're sitting there grabbing your ankles, followed by a long line of totally exhausted taxpayers. And on the other side, of the New York side, you got Howard Stern grabbing his ankles, totally followed by another long line of totally exhausted taxpayers. Have a nice Christmas there, Baba Booey.
This call is a perfect 10, and that's an order.
I'm laughing, but on a scale of 1 to 10, I give him a 1. This is pathetic. Whatever happened to the people who've been storing up all the vitriol, all the animosity, all the anger? I guess they're not there. Hello, Frank.
hey, I said, give me the Bob Grant special. They bring out a Ritz cracker with a piece of cheese on it. I said, what is this? He said, can of beans, the Bob Grant special. I said, Ma, bring out the sausage and peppers, will you? Ma, Bob, how come every time we got a holiday, you gotta take the whole week off? Now you're gonna take 2 whole weeks off. I know what happened, though. When you were a boy, they used to say to you, Melissa, mamma, the Mexican, from the boat, man, America. Ma, Bob, $1, eh? Stop that one.
Picard. Makisukai Picard. Earl, you're on WABC. I think the gag hour is going to come to a grinding halt any second here.
Bob, how are you, you fracacta stinker? Come sta, bubala? Wie geht's, Roberto Nu? How's by you, schlump? Giza dit, Shadrul? Du bist sehr gut, Schlemiel? How are you, Bob? How's your health? How's your family? How's your mother? How's your father, your son, your daughter? How the heck are you, Roberto? Wie geht's? Come sta?
Well, he's repeating himself. I said, if you repeat yourself, that ends it. And on a scale of 1 to 10, I give him a -2. All right, I think we're going to call a halt to this because it just aren't the clever people there used to be. It just aren't the creative individuals there used to be. I don't know where they went, but we have to take what we get here. And Jerome is checking in from Manville. You want to participate in the gag, Jerome?
Absolutely.
Well, all right.
I'd like to see you fired and replaced by a young man by the name of Bob Aronson, unless WABC should go belly up and you'd be kicked out on your keister in any case. And another thing, the next time you reach for that Dermabond applicator, I'd like for you to Dermabond that mouth of yours shut and step in front of a yellow cab. Thanks, Bob.
All right, that's not bad. A little creativity there. All right, Joe.
Hey, Bob, this is a good friend of the needle nose. We're watching you,
Hey,
Bob.
see, too many guys are doing shtick. I don't want shtick. We're not auditioning. We're not looking for impersonators. We're not looking for character actors. We're looking for gag statements. Ellie, we'll try you.
Yes, Bob. I'd like to share with you my fantasy. You see, you're the professor of a class that I take, and it's 3 hours every day. I'm not doing that well. I'm really not. So I figured I'll invite you over, and we'll lie down on the futon that I got from Dial a Mattress. And if I should be so lucky as to conceive, I would never abort your child. I would raise him Jewish, and I'd breastfeed him. And I'd wonder all along, could you possibly gag me?
I don't think I'm going to comment on Ellie. Ellie, I'm not going to comment on you. Well, how does that grab you?
Oh, that grabs me just fine.
All right, Ellie. On a scale of 1 to 10, I'm going to give you a 9.
Oh, thank you.
All right, let's try Steve. Steve, it's a gag hour, I think.
Hey, Bob, you're always trashing black people. Sometimes I wonder if maybe you have this complex about your penis size. I mean, maybe something that you don't think you have it. Blacks, as they say, they got the biggest dicks. Maybe you're just inferior sexually, and you're so frustrated that you can't do anything with what you got, so then you're just, totally out of it. You understand what I'm saying? So come on, Bob, look, if you want, come over to my place. I'll show you some techniques, Maybe I can help you out, Hey, you know what I'm saying?
Unfortunately, I do. That was Steve from the Bronx. Let's try Joe checking in from New York. Hello, Joe.
Yeah, hi, Bob. How are you? Your mouth stinks from onions, so you better stop eating onions. Cause you fill up the whole air with New York City with onion smell. And right through the telephone, I feel the onions. So please stop eating onions, all right?
That's supposed to be a gag hour? That's supposed to be a gag call? Gee. All right, let's try Jerry. I don't even rate that fellow. From Franklin Square, let's try Jerry. Hello.
Hi, pal. How you doing? Well, I don't want to talk about personal things. If you just give me your number so we can chat at home. I mean, I know you've offered to give it to lots of people, but I don't have a pen when you give it to the people. All right, in any case, I guess you don't want to give it to me. I'm real glad to hear that you're going to 4 hours again. I mean, I remember when you were on for 4 hours, you used to bitch and moan how you couldn't take 4 hours. But when I took a look at it, You weren't working 4 hours. I mean, what was the first thing you do when you walked in at 2 o'clock? You took a 5-minute break for the news. And then you talked for 15 minutes, and it was time for another break. And then you took one call, and it was time for the 2:30 news. When I figured out, you were working like 3 hours. When the union guys used to call you up, what was the first thing you asked? What are you doing now? Why are you working? And then you'd hang up. Like no one else is allowed to take time off. But you used to bitch and moan about your 4 hours, and then you got reduced to 3 hours. And actually, I was glad, because for the first couple of months after your 3 hours, you seemed to got rid of your incontinence problem. You know, I mean, every once in a while, you just couldn't hold it in. You had to just leave it into a glass. That's okay. Everyone has their problems. But one thing I could never understand is why I never heard you zipping the fly up. What do you just let it all hang out? I guess that's why you never have guests on, you know, like on your face-offs. The only guests that come up to visit you are what? The Mayflower Madam, and you had that dominatrix. I bet you loved when she came up. Did you get her number? I mean, it must have been nice, you know, to get back, you know, some of the abuse that you give everyone else. I mean, did that really, you know, get you going?
Well, you run out of gas, pal. But that's all right. You didn't have anything to say to begin with. All right, on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm going to give Jerry, I'm going to give him a 6. I'm going to give him a 6. Are you grading him in the control room? Are we... you guys gave him a... okay, we have 2 4s and 1 3. All right. Okay, I'm going to let the control room do the grading on a scale of 1 to 10. I'm not going to do the grading because I think they're a little more astute.
Very transgression it's not your dissuasion from engaging in amenities. It's not your introducing that radio virus, your naivete introducing the sleewas who can then backstab you. And I think you are a fake, a phony, and a fraud. And as penance, you're going to sit down to dinner with Eli, Clara, and Hilly and listen to Frank tapes for a half an hour. That's your penance, Grant.
And Al is checking in. What do you give him on a scale of 1 to 10? You give him a 6? Okay. A 6. It's agreed. It's agreed by our judges in the control room that Herb of Fort Lee gets a 6. Al, you're on WABC. Hello.
Hello.
Yes, Al?
This is the Reverend Al Sharpton, the people's preacher. I almost choked on my chicken ball and I heard you was going to have a Bob Grant hour, because I got a lot of things to say to you, you little cracker. You try to rob us of all our history. You try to say that we didn't build the pyramids, when in fact I traced back my roots, and my Uncle Rufus Sharpton was washing windshields on the UFOs that built those pyramids. And another thing, you cracker, you're going to use that permabond on your head? I'm going to stick you up to the ceiling. I'm going to come down there.
All right.
No justice, no peace.
Okay. All right, that's it, Al, huh?
What?
That's it?
That's all I got to say, cracker.
Okay. How do you want it? What grade do you give Al? All right, Susan gives Al an 8, and we have a 7 from Mr. Kachopoli. Okay. Very good judges in the control room. Very good. Elizabeth, New Jersey, is sending John to us via the telephone. Hello, John.
Yeah, seriously speaking, that last call indicates something that does happen on your show. When white people call and pretend to be black, they reinforce negative stereotypes about blacks. But unfortunately, the simple-minded people who follow you don't know any better, and they think that these are really black people calling. You know, Bob, you know what you are? You're a racist. You're a plain and simple racist. Not only that, you know what else you are? You're a jejune, drivel-drooling jadrool. Goodbye, Bob.
What do you want to give him? A 2, and Susan gives him a 4. Okay, you're being very generous, Susan. Here's a gentleman checking in by the name of Harley.
Bob, baby, dear, my man, I'm going to get serious with you, baby. I'm going to slow the pace. You ain't going to toy with me like you toy with some of them other people, baby. I ain't no shit out there, baby, for you to badmouth on. I do some backdoor the work out there on the street, baby. Some crackhead going to do a number on you, because you got to be put in your place, daddy. Some backdoor work is going to be done on you. I'm the man that's going to do the work, Jack. Anytime, anywhere. You understand what I'm talking about, Daddy? You know I'm out there, and you know that you can be found, Jack. You talking all that. You got all your shields out there on the air. Everybody laughing like it's funny, huh? Ain't no funny, Jack. There are people suffering out there in the street. Little girl got a rag doll in her hand. A man, he don't have no ball to play with. All the kids out there starving, and you talking that trash. I come down there and bust your lip till, bust your head till it cracks, baby. I kick you in the arm, kick you in the leg. I kick you, baby, till your eyes pop out your head. And then I bloody up your anal cavity, baby. And you said, don't do no more. But I keep right on humping and the bumping, Jack. Because you got to pay, Daddy. And you gonna pay.
Did you ever hear of Vito? Do you know Vito? Left him speechless. All right, what do you want to give him? On a scale of 1 to 10, Mr. Kachapoli is giving the fellow identifying himself as Harley as an 8. And Susan is giving him a 6, okay? Edgar's checking in right now, and he's calling from somewhere in the wilds of New Jersey. Hello, Edgar. Are you there, Edgar? Edgar? Edgar. He's not there. All right, let's move over here to Brooklyn, and Debbie should be checking in on the Gag Hour.
I just want to tell you how much you scare me. I stopped listening to you a couple of months ago. Occasionally, I still manage to catch you. Listening to you on the radio reminds me of all the things that the dominant white culture said about black folks for 400 years. All this time we were lazy, we were stupid, we were unable to do anything. When we finally did start getting ourselves together, you found other ways to hold us down. Now we're in the situation that we're in, and you still blame us. Not one black person in New York owns a poppy field or a coca plant. Not one black person has a gun manufacturing company. These things are brought in. The war on drugs didn't start getting serious until it went to the white neighborhood. You are a student of history. And because you said that, I've looked back and looked up some of the things that you've commented on. I notice you're a student of the history that's convenient for you, that reinforces your cause. I suggest to you, but I know you probably won't do it, so your listeners, to please go back, look up the facts for themselves, and not just take you at face value. Because there are many, many, many things that prove how racist this country was, is, and probably will continue to be. I say, for one example, the Civil War that everyone talks about, how they were so anxious to free us and make us equal. If the Union Army was so anxious, how come none of the black soldiers were able to eat, train, or fight with the white soldiers? How come we weren't able to fight with them or be together with them until World War II?
Well, this is digressing. Instead of an attack on me, it's becoming a litany of your self-imposed martyrdom. Hello, Dick.
Hello?
Yes, Dick.
This is... Okay. Hello, Bob. First of all, how are you? Secondly, I'm very glad you just made that commercial about the Men's Hair Now, because I wanted to call you about that. I happen not to be bald, but if I recall correctly in my history, many great people were bald, and the natural thing is to be bald, not to wear a toupee or a Men's Hair Now. So I think that people who are bald would probably get offended when you call it bald and ugly, because I don't think it's ugly. I think that's the natural thing.
This is not really a gag call. The guy's not really criticizing me. He's not really telling me off. And why is it so hard? You know, when we began the Gag Hour a couple of years ago, they used to do it so well, but they've lost it. They've just lost it. Let's try Jerry. Jerry, hello.
Yeah, how you doing, Grant? This is Jerry, also known as Frank, Dominic, Sal, Vito. I call you every year. Every year you say the same thing. I'm auditioning for that dead-end kid thing, right? Every year I do that. You say Phil Foster is dead. Well, listen, just because you got a dead beaver on top of your head, you want to take it out on me, right? I got to call your show 5 and 6 times a day just to get through your screener, right? I'm going to violate. I called yesterday. I violate the 5-day gag rule. How do you like that, 5 day? Every 5 days I got to call. I call every day. Every day for me is a Gag Hour. You get it, Grant? You dead beaver head, you?
Now, that was a little more respectable. Well, you give him a 5 on a scale of 1 to 10. Okay. That's Mike is giving a 5. How about Our Lady of Distinction at the controls? She's abstaining. Susan is abstaining. All right, let's try Bob checking in right now. Yes, Bob. Bob, are you there? Bob is not there. All right, let's try Eddie. Eddie, are you there?
Hello?
Eddie, this is the Gag Hour.
Hello. Yes, I want to make a reservation for my wife and me. We want the 2 glorious weeks on the Bob Grant tour to Uzbekistan and Kyrgyzstan. And we want
What has this got to do with the Gag Hour? You're not participating, Eddie. You're not participating. You're auditioning. You're auditioning. Sorry, Eddie. I don't know why people think that it's audition time. It's a Major Bowes amateur hour. Let's try Dave. Dave, are you there? Dave, I hear you breathing. You want to talk? All right. Dave's a real cagazot, literally. From Westchester, here's Joe. Joe, hello.
Bob, I caught you in a big lie. Your supposed fantasy woman is Mary Alice Williams, but you know you really have the hots for Gloria Averbush. You know why? Because all you can go for is a marathon minute.
That's good. That's good. Very good. I haven't seen Gloria Averbush in a long time. She started a motion picture a couple of years ago called 8 Miles of Bad Road. Tony, you're checking in right now. Hello.
Bob, you complain all the time about the extra hour. But I get up in the morning at 3:30, I put on WABC, I hear Bob Grant. I get up at 7 o'clock sometimes, 8 o'clock on Saturday. Who do I hear? Bob Grant. Now you complain they give you another hour. I liked you when you were mediocre and you were really bright and brilliant. Now that you got to that Rio Diner, they have the 2 specials of the day on Tuesday and Thursday, bologna and beans and tongue. And I think that, Bob, you're not going to go too far because you got that sort of, I can't explain it though. You have an inferiority complex, and when you go network, if you use those words that you use, you're going to ruin yourself. You've got to get together and forget about all of the stuff in New York and try to be what you were before, what your mother taught you. And God bless you, and have a Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, you and your family, and do well.
That's Tony from Toms River, wall-to-wall Bob Grant Country, certified wall-to-wall Bob Grant Country, home of Joe and Catherine and a host of a cast of thousands. Here's Albert from Irvington. Yes, Albert.
How are you, Bob? You know you're a real phony. You look like a white Kermit the Frog. And that phony fraud Dave from Irvington is a real jerk.
Uh-oh, he's picking on somebody else. See, that's a disqualifier when you call somebody else a bad name. All right, I think this is going to be our last one. Is Martin of Fairview. Yes, Martin?
Yes, hello, Bob. Small fry. I listen to you every day and become completely disgusted. You are uno scostumato, uno schifoso. Mi fai schifo per tutta la giornata. 3 hours. I got to listen to your garbage. Thank you very much, Bob. Have yourself a good holiday.
All right, what do you want to give him? You give him a 7? A 7, all right. Mr. Kachapoli, who's got a lot of rachmonis. You have a lot of rachmonis, Mike. You give him a 7. And Susan gives him a 5. Susan, a little tougher there, a little tougher. I wish I had Susan as my first grade teacher. I probably would have done better in school. You would have made a good school teacher. All right, that slams the lid on things for today. This is Bob Grant reminding you your influence counts. Use it. Kill Saddam Hussein. Kill him now already. It's 10 o'clock.
From ABC News, I'm Bob Walker. As amazing as it may sound, the Soviet Union ceased to exist today. In its place, a new Commonwealth of Independent States. And President Mikhail Gorbachev has been told that the Soviet Union and his job no longer existed. More from Mark Bauman in Moscow.
All of the former Soviet republics, with the exception of Georgia, have agreed to join a new Commonwealth of Independent States. And they have nominated Soviet Defense Minister Yevgeny Shaposhnikov as interim commander of the Commonwealth's nuclear and conventional forces. In addition, because Russia, Ukraine, and Belarus already have seats at the United Nations, they have agreed to push membership for the Commonwealth's other members as well. By common consensus, however, the Russian Federation will retain the former Soviet Union's seat on the Security Council. Mark Bauman, ABC News, Moscow.
Somebody had to be first, I suppose. The Soviet embassy in New Delhi has hauled down the red hammer and sickle and replaced it with a new Federation flag. It becomes the first Soviet embassy to honor Boris Yeltsin's decree, taking control of Moscow's foreign ministry, its embassies, and other assets abroad. More after this.
This Christmas, let Radio Shack make your shopping easy. Get 0% interest on purchases of $50 or more. No down payment and no payments until March 1992. Radio Shack has a gift for everyone. Choose from over 80 different cassette players or 60 different values.
Mr. Grant, I'd like to make some comments regarding last night's homosexual convention, or excuse me, the Democratic convention. They had a speaker on last night, a guy whose name is Bob Hatoy, an admitted homosexual and a guy who's HIV positive. And listening to him lament how America doesn't care about him, George Bush doesn't care about him, that America is losing its family, that he's losing his lovers. I'm thinking to myself as this guy's speaking that if he didn't engage in perverted sex, he wouldn't have AIDS. And to look at all those women in the audience with tears running down their cheeks and holding up placards, gay and lesbian rights, I did not notice one individual who had a red ribbon, a blue ribbon, or a yellow ribbon for people who have heart disease or cancer. Those are the two leading causes of death in this country, and I'm sick and tired of these AIDS activists making believe as if AIDS is the only disease known to mankind. When they say they want more money, I guess they don't realize that the United States is facing a $400 billion deficit. I don't know where they expect George Bush to come up with the money.
Doctors themselves have stated that all the money in the world is not going to bring us any closer to coming to grips with AIDS. That the research takes time.
That's true.
And if it were a case of just throwing money at it and everybody would be saved, that'd be one thing. But that is not the answer. But above and beyond that, they choose to blame an incumbent president and his predecessor as though they started AIDS.
That's
they
true.
didn't start AIDS. Double-gated goofballs like this Bob Hatoy, who I wish, I hope he hurries up and croaks and gets the hell out off the stage.
I feel the same way.
I have absolutely no sympathy for him at all.
Me neither.
He's not a Ryan White. Ryan White was a true victim, an innocent victim. Bob Hatoy is not innocent of anything except being a double-gated jerk.
Absolutely.
All right, thank you for the call.
May I also say something else, Mr. Grant, quickly?
Yes?
Regarding Andy Young. There was another guy, a retard of retards. When he was UN ambassador, he said that Cuban troops in Angola were a stabilizing influence, and then he gave aid and comfort to the enemies of the United States.
He also said we would look upon the Ayatollah Khamenei as a saint, right?
And he gave aid and comfort to the enemies of the United States by saying that within the prison walls of America that there were political prisoners. And then he made Jimmy Carter sound as if he was the greatest president of the century, the biggest goofball we ever had as far as I'm concerned. If the American people are dumb enough to bring this same group back into the White House via Clinton and Gore, then as you say, Mr. Grant, people deserve the government they deserve. But the only problem is they're going to bring you and me down with them.
On WABC, Cal, hello to you.
Yes, Bob, I would like to explain... I'd like to respond to a caller that called in yesterday, gave out misinformation. He was talking about sub-Saharan African cultures. He mentioned, he was right about one thing though. He said that the wheel was not found in sub-Saharan culture, but he was wrong about two things. He mentioned that there was no structures built in sub-Saharan Africa. He was wrong. You can go there today. They were built there in medieval and late ancient times. And you can go to Kenya, and you can see the medieval cities of Kenya that look like any medieval Western European city.
My foot, they look like any medieval European Western city. My foot. You don't know what you're talking about. Al, you're on WABC. Hello.
Yeah, hello.
All right, Al, I've said hello. You've said hello. Now what?
Oh.
Shall we dance?
Oh, yeah, why not?
Okay.
You want?
What would you like to say, Al?
Yeah, I want to ask about, you said something about the convention, the Democratic convention. You said Jesse Jackson made some comments about people having broken home, broken glass. Then you said something about how did they get here, but you never said how did they get here. We're trying to find out how did they get here.
I'm asking him if he knows what has caused all this. That's what I'm asking him. Tom, you're on WABC. Hello.
Bob Grant, how you doing, buddy? Listen, I'm a friend of a friend of yours. You know Kay Hennig?
Yes.
Yeah, she told me to say hi and that she was very upset that she can't make the trip.
Yeah, why isn't she making the trip? I'm very disappointed.
I was in her store yesterday, over here in North Massapequa.
Yes.
And it's very hot, and if she goes, she's going to be in a lot of pain.
Oh, okay.
And she doesn't want to, she wants to enjoy the trip.
Tell her I will miss her and Joe very much because they've been the greatest travelers I've had the privilege of being with.
Right. She tells me how great and intelligent you are. And
she's just a little prejudiced. Anyway, what else did you call about, Tom?
Listen, I'm watching this well, I don't know, Democratic convention. I don't know why. I had to watch the news. I couldn't sit there and for like, an hour or whatever it was and sit there and actually watch it. But Bill Clinton brings up this AIDS, his environmental. When he was in Arkansas, they said that this guy was the worst leader that ever walked through Arkansas. They never heard of any environmental issues being brought up. They never heard of any AIDS issues being brought up. And I have this news network I have on the computer. I printed out a listing of what Bill Clinton's goals were as president. It never once listed AIDS or environment. He's a fake. He's hiding behind this image that he wants to suit the people. Let me tell you something. George Bush is one of the finest men to walk the earth and to be in that White House. Now, what these people are saying that he doesn't care about the society. Well, then why the hell did he put 26-week extension onto unemployment? Is that just because, regardless if it's an election year, he still did it, and it's still going to help a lot of people when there's a lot of welfare abuses and there's a lot of unemployment abuses. He will still, so President Bush is doing things that are helping society. Now, because society is down...
All right, Tom, I have to move on. I thank you for the call.
You use it frequently, and your callers use it. I just, where that can, how that fits in, because I think it's funny, just thinking about him and that saying. But is there any reason you call him that?
Yes.
Oh, and could you explain?
Yeah, there was a photo last summer in the one of the newspapers, I think it was the New York Post. He was wearing a white jacket, and he was greeting somebody, and he looked like the men's room attendant at 21.
Oh, okay. Now I understand why. I kind of agree. He does wear some sloppy
And
jackets.
why so much is made of that is beyond me, but then again, small minds dwell on small things. So congratulations on dwelling on such a small thing.
Well, two other things I hope you could answer for me, maybe just because I'm concerned about two things. I'd like to see what Cuomo is going to say to Clinton, or say about Clinton as far as making the nomination, being that he was called mafioso and all kinds of things by Clinton. I think that's kind of funny.
being a political whore, Cuomo will find it very easy to say all kinds of positive things about Mr. Sleaze.
I see. I can't wait to hear that. Tell you the truth, and the third question is...
I don't know what you mean by you can't wait to hear it.
See, me politically, I don't agree with a lot of politicians. I think they're all losers and liars. So when I get to see
so therefore you can't wait, huh?
And as far as seeing Cuomo step up and making a speech, I think it'd be a big joke. And thirdly, about Mandela. Do you honestly think anyone's going to make him to speak? And I personally think that'd be the most appalling thing.
Well, he will be greeted like a conquering hero. Exactly. They will give him a standing ovation, and they will go on and on and on for minutes and minutes with a huge cheer.
Yeah.
And I think that will send a message to the American people and maybe make them realize that their answer is not the Clinton-Gore ticket.
Well, thanks very much. I just wanted to find out because I'm looking for...
On WABC, it's Rich checking in right now. Hello, Rich.
Yeah, Bob. One quick note. On the list of comedians that are performing in New York this week, I thought Pat Schroeder was definitely the funniest. I think she called Jimmy Carter was a great man and a great president. And with men like that, the Democratic Party can do anything. And I just was sitting in my living room watching that, and I just cracked up. I just thought it was about the most hilarious thing I have ever heard. And Who's voting for Pat Schroeder? That's what I'd like to know. Thanks for your time.
On WABC, it's Bill. Hello, Bill.
Hi, Bob. I just want to talk about two programs I saw recently. One was on PBS. It was about David Duke's candidacy and the surprising support he got. The other was Inside Edition, which talked about rising membership in like skinhead clan type groups. And they had like commentators on each who basically said the same thing, that the reason why there has been such growing support for this kind of thing was because of white insecurity over poor economic times. And I'd like to maybe give a couple of alternate reasons, like maybe affirmative action, racial quotas, forced busing, out-of-control welfare system, the skyrocketing black crime rates, blatantly anti-white rap music, biased media, or even the politically correct, blame it all on Western civilization crowd. I think maybe those are some of the real reasons why there might be a heightened racial awareness on whites' part.
Very good, Bill. Thank you.
How you doing there, Bob? 2 weeks ago, George Bush vetoed the motor voter bill.
Yes.
Passed through both houses.
Right.
This would have made it easier for people to register to vote when they get their driver's license, when they go to welfare offices. What do you think? How was he motivated to do this? What was his motivation?
Well, I would have vetoed it, too, because I think it makes a mockery out of citizenship for a variety of reasons, one of which I think it would make for the possibility for fraud. What's the big deal? A citizen wants to vote. What's the big deal to do what so many of us have been able to do? They don't make it hard. We don't have to go through an obstacle course. It's very easy to register and vote.
Well, what's the matter with making it a little bit easier?
You can make it so easy that there could be fraud.
Well, I don't know. I mean,
Hey, look, Scott, didn't you call to ask me what I thought about it?
Well,
didn't I answer you?
Do you think that was George Bush's motivation?
Well, let me look inside his head. Yes, that was his motivation. Thank you. Mike, you're on WABC. Hello.
Hi there, Bob. Listen, I'm glad you're not falling for the bait you're getting from those two streetwalkers that occupy the air about 5:30 in the morning to about 10 or 11. They keep baiting you, and I'm glad you and Rush are not falling for the crap they pull off on you.
What do you mean, what do you mean by baiting? What are you talking about?
Well, they always refer to you and their side, especially the female of the Sliwat team. And
what do you mean by refer to me? Can you?
Yeah, there's sarcasm, and they take positions that are so contrary to yours.
Well, I don't care if they take positions contrary to mine. Where is it written that we all have to have the same views?
I know that, but they're trying to. I'm sure they know the popularity you enjoy, and by baiting you and hoping you react, they get up on top of the situation. I don't know what the hell keeps them on. I'm sick and tired of hearing them announce their name every 30 seconds.
Well, it's all right if you want to complain. I don't mind.
I've written to Manelli. He doesn't even answer the phone.
Well, it's all right, but...
but I'm saying...
I thought maybe you'd tell me some tidbits that might have been said that I have not heard. You see, I don't listen, therefore I can't comment.
But I'm sure you don't listen, and I've avoided them. I've gone to Ibis, and that's a desperate move for me to go to Ibis in the morning, but that's right.
Well, why do you tell me, Mike? Stop and analyze.
Yeah.
Analyze what you're doing here. Why do you call me and tell me? What have I got to do with it?
Nothing. I just want to pat you on the back. That's all. I just want to tell you.
Well, you can pat me on the back without knocking them, can't you?
I guess you're right there. But they incense me to a...
When's the last time you listened to them?
Oh, golly, about a week ago.
I thought you said you switched to another...
No, I do. I leave the radio on mostly for the whole night, and then when I switch back from them...
Mike, I really don't believe... Mike, you're probably a nice guy, and I know you're on my side, so I don't want to hurt your feelings. But, Mike, I have the feeling that you listen to them most of the time. A lot of people do this. They complain. See, my view is this, Mike, that if you don't listen to someone or don't watch them on television, you're not going to be complaining about them. Not the way you are. I mean, you'll say, yeah, I used to listen, but I don't listen anymore. And that'll be about the end of it. But they're under your skin, and therefore you tune in, maybe you tune out again, but then tune back in.
Maybe it's because I'm hoping that one of these days when I do tune in, I'm advised that they're no longer with the station. Hoping against hope.
Well, I think you better not hold your breath because from what I'm able to gather, they are doing very well. The management of this company is very, very pleased with them.
Unbelievable.
And I think they're probably here to stay for a long time.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Thanks a lot for your time.
Sorry to hear that. Okay, thank you for the call.
Bye-bye.
Has a real gift with words. He proves that time and time again. Today, you say that Ross Perot is the Jesse Jackson, I believe I'm quoting you, the Jesse Jackson of white America.
He certainly is.
Well, that's quite a... Are you insulting both of them, or one of them, or what?
I hope so. I wouldn't want to miss them. I mean, both of these guys have done a very bad thing to honest, conscientious people. People are looking for a way to fulfill themselves politically. They are looking for change. And these guys will come along and exploit and abuse that commitment and that interest.
Roy, would it be fair to assume by the statements of yours in which you express your deep disappointment that you were about to be a Perot supporter?
No, I was not. I was very distrustful of Ross Perot.
We're getting a signal. Roy.
Yes.
Could you get off the speakerphone and get to the regular phone?
Okay.
All right.
How's that?
Oh, much better. Much
Okay.
better. Everybody was making faces in the control room, and now I know why.
Okay.
Okay. Now, you were not about to become a Ross Perot supporter.
No, I was not. In fact, I was asking people to be very careful. They had a need. What they were expressing was legitimate. A need for change. A need to force the two major parties to become more responsive to people. But the question I kept raising was, is he the guy? I mean, who's this guy? Where did he come from? Because he's $1 billion, does it make him qualify to be that leader of change? I was very nervous that some guy could come along and flash $1 billion and wave it at good people and get a following. In fact, I got nervous about him because of the history of Germany and Italy with Mussolini and Hitler, and in Japan with Tojo and that crowd.
Now, you say that you hope that we've seen the last of Perot.
Yes, we have the perennial gamesmanship of Jesse Jackson play-acting and running for the presidency, sidetracking important black political interest and development every few years. I hope we're not going to have a roadshow with Ross Perot doing the same thing every few years. Again, sidetracking legitimate political interests.
I don't think we will, but getting back to one of our favorite topics, namely Jesse, he doesn't seem to be the bright, effervescent star at this convention as he was at a couple of others.
No, he was snubbed. You know, you have so many legitimate, high-quality black leaders being developed. You know, you have Doug Weiler, the governor of Virginia. You have John Lewis, old civil rights champion. These guys are coming up now. Mike Espy from Mississippi, and they're not sitting by idly and let Emperor Jesse direct all the action. Also, the Democratic Party might be getting a little wise to themselves. I mean, they blew 2 elections, partly through Jesse, and I guess they've had enough.
You know, Roy, I have a feeling that, and I expressed this several months ago, that Jesse has reached his peak, and his best days are behind him.
I think so, except one thing that bothered me. Quite recently, a very important Jewish leader, head of the World Jewish Congress, took Jesse over to Belgium to speak to that group, and I was very disturbed with the way the New York Times covered that speech. Jesse did some mea culpas, and the New York Times ran that speech out in terms of finally blacks and Jews can get back together because Emperor Jesse has condemned anti-Semitism, and Emperor Jesse has discovered that Zionism can be positive. That bothered me. I mean, it was a terrible insult to all of us who have held out a hand of fellowship to the Jewish community over all these Jesse years and have taken some criticism from the Jesseites to have the New York Times imply that now and only now can blacks and Jews have a reconciliation because Jesse is ready for it.
Well, what you've just done, Roy, is pointed out why there are many of us who say the Times is an elitist paper that really believes in its own conceit, really believes that it can determine who is the spokesman for any group.
Exactly, and I hope they have not. I hope Edgar Brofman and the New York Times have not, in fact, reinvent Jesse, because I think you were right. Jesse had peak. He was a fading star. But it's always a danger that major media can rediscover and reinvent.
Roy, it's always good to talk to you. Thank you very much.
Okay, Bob.
That's Roy Innes, ladies and gentlemen, the chairman of the Congress of Racial Equality. And he says he hopes we have seen the last of Jesse Jackson politically. He says he prays that he would not become, that Ross Perot, would not become a perennial political gadfly like Jesse Jackson. Speaking of Ross Perot, we're going to be talking to Barbara Walters in just a little over an hour from now about her interview with Ross Perot, which will air tonight on 2020 over the American Broadcasting Company's television outlets. And we'll also hear an excerpt or two from that interview. I just wanted to quit. Hey, by the way, did you talk about sarcasm and contempt? The reporters asked Ross Perot yesterday morning why he was stepping down, why he was getting out of something he never really officially got in, by the way. And he said, and I quote, "I'm doing it for the good of the country." Now, you wouldn't understand an answer like that. All those reporters who were there were absolutely insulted. They wouldn't show it because they're pusillanimous pipsqueaks, but they were all insulted. That was an insult. And if I had been present, I would like to believe that I would have said, "Well, I resent that, Mr. Perot." But he said they wouldn't understand that they wouldn't know anything about anybody doing anything for the good of the country. All I can say is I had his number. I'm going to keep rubbing it in. And I told you so. Ed, you're at WABC. Hello.
Hi, Bob. I don't want to know how you are, and I don't want to know how old you are. But I would want to point out to you a front-page article, Philadelphia Inquirer, yesterday, about the color guard at the Democratic National Convention. Seems that these guys were homeless Vietnam veterans that they brought in from Boston. But I'll read a quick paragraph. Once the patriotic opening ceremony was concluded, the vets got a box lunch and were shown the door, relegated to a Harlem homeless shelter. Just points out how hypocritical the entire Democratic leadership is. Further down the article, the Democrats use the honor guard of vets to underscore their concern for the country's hundreds of thousands of homeless. Hypocrisy, the whole thing.
Without a doubt. They didn't have to import any homeless. All they had to do was not sweep away the homeless that are now back hanging around this building.
And I didn't hear anything about it anywhere else except because I live out here in Tennessee. Like I said, front page of the Philadelphia Inquirer, but not in any of the liberal papers in New York.
And said it was a liberal paper in Philadelphia.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, thank
God
you.
bless you, Bob. Wish I could join you in November.
I wish you could. Well, why don't you?
Pay a few more bills off first.
Okay.
Thanks, Bob.
By the way, a week from today, I will do the last broadcast for a couple of weeks because on the 25th I leave for the Orient, and I will be in Japan. I will be in China. I will be in Singapore, Thailand, Hong Kong, and perhaps I'll even do some reports via transcontinental telephone line if they can get a hold of me. Last time I left, I told them that I'd be happy to do reports, and I understand John Manelli went into Denise McEntee and said, "Hey, where's Bob? We ought to call him, Bob, and put him on his show." And she said, "Bob who?"
I want to make a comment about a comment that George Bush made in speaking about Perot's withdrawal from the race. He couldn't quite bring himself to say that the conservative Republicans who were formerly supporting Perot would be brought to his side now because he shares their beliefs. Rather, what he said was, they share the same values that I speak about. And I think deep down that represents his own recognition of the fact that he doesn't believe in a damn thing.
No, I don't think so. He wanted. I think he was very careful not to sound as though he was taking it for granted. He said they embrace many of the principles that I do. This is a very tricky thing to want to get naturally want to get the following that somebody else has without sounding like you're taking it for granted. Remember, these Perot people are a very feisty bunch. And I noticed that he weighed his words very carefully for a change.
Well, if you go back and you listen to the tape, however, you didn't say you share the same values or the values that
Well, you know what I think you're doing, George? I think you're nitpicking, and I feel sorry for you. Get off my phone. On WABC, let's say hello to Mike. Mike, hello.
Hi, Bob. I was just thinking of a nice October surprise that would be doing Bill Clinton and be a dagger in the heart of the feminists. What would you think of in October? Maybe a Jennifer Flowers pictorial in Playboy?
Well, I don't think that would damage him.
You don't think so? It wouldn't hurt him?
No, I don't think a pictorial on her would necessarily hurt him. I think what would be more interesting, I thought you were going to say, is that we find out that Jennifer Flowers is involved with the Clinton family. As a matter of fact, that Hillary is leaving Bill for her. Thank you.
Thank you.
On WABC, she's going to leave him for somebody someday. Tom, you're on WABC. Hello.
Hello, Bob. I find it humorous that some Republicans and probably some Democrats, too, are appealing to Perot supporters on the grounds that they stand for the same principles, when last week they were all saying that they had no idea what Perot's principles were.
Well, they didn't know what Perot's principles were because Perot had not enunciated anything, but they did know what the people thought he or hoped he stood for because the people themselves had said it. And I don't fault either party in this case. I think this is one of those rare times when their reactions are legitimate, logical, understandable, and also fathered by wishful thinking.
That's true. Thank you, Bob.
Sean, you're on WABC. Hello.
Good afternoon, Robert. I don't listen too much. I listen to you when I can. It's the first time I've called, but I kind of real fed up here, and I want to air my feelings. This deal with Time Warner and Ice-T kind of gets you sick, and I've got a couple things that maybe we can do to fight back a little bit. See, and this is all about the almighty dollar. Why can't we? What I got here is a few things that I got out of a Time magazine. They say no postage necessary if mailed in the United States. What I'm going to do is perhaps tape this to a brick or a box filled with whatever I can find and mail it to them and tell them how much I'm against that. And I also have their 800 number here, which we can give a call and, since they pay for it, we'll use their dime. Can I give you the 800 number?
Of course.
Okay, it's 800-843-TIME, and that's 8463. So all the people out there who are incensed about this crap, let's give Time a call on their dime and go to the library and get these things out of their magazine. There's about 3 or 4 of them in each magazine. Tape them to a brick, tape them to a rock, and send them back and tell them what you think about them. Thank you, Robert.
Not at all. Thank you, Sean. I'm Sean calling from Connecticut. Here's Morgan from Long Island. Hello, Morgan.
Hi, Mr. Grant. It's a pleasure to speak with you. I was very curious as to why we didn't hear anything mentioned from one single news reporter out of the hordes that were at the convention about the spy article that you said you saw on the seats at the convention hall.
That's a good point. Good question. I'm the only. You can come to one of. Take your choice. Either you can conclude that nobody cared about it and did not get upset about it because they like to see scurrilous literature aimed at the president, or two, they did notice it, but thought it was just peachy keen. So either A, they didn't care, or B, they agreed anyway. I mean, what other conclusion can we come to?
Well, I guess you're right on that. I was very angry, though, that there wasn't some response, perhaps from the Bush camp or from Bush himself, as I'm sure that
Well, he probably
must have gotten back to him.
He probably doesn't even know yet. I informed Richard Bond, chairman of the RNC, and I informed him yesterday via the telephone, the newsbreaker. He did not do anything about it, and they probably won't do a thing about it because the convention is over, and Mr. Brown, Ron Brown, can say, "Hey, I didn't know anything about it. I didn't approve of this." Thank you for the call.
Thank you, Mr. Grant.